down as well, that's okay.
Go for it.
A little bit about me. I work for Global, which is so it's Heart, Heart Extra, Capital Extra, LBC in London. I don't remember this. LBC in London.
Smooth.
We've got quite a few. Oh yeah. Global also has Classic Gold. So there's quite a few things in it. It's all under the umbrella of Global, which is fine. Our particular bit of Heart, I'm Heart West Country, that's regional, so that's Bath, Bristol, Western-super-Mare, Somerset, down to the edges of Exeter. So if you drive around my area, my TSA, you could be quite shocked. So I'm sitting, the boys and I are sitting in one studio, and I just drove up from Glastonbury actually on the weekend, so I saw the area, and it's quite funny. So you're basically broadcasting to a mum in the middle of Bristol who's trying to get kids to school, and she's only got like, she's slapping kids in the back to keep them quiet and trying to remember lunches and just listening to bite-sized pieces. You've also got people on tractors, you've also got people riding horses, making... It's a really large area, and I guess...
Every taxi driver in the house.
What's that?
Every taxi
driver. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's great. So when you're talking to people, you have to kind of make it like you're talking to the one person, which is brilliant, but everybody's so different. So our show is between 6 and 10 every weekday morning. Every week we get 358,000 listeners per week. Between 6:45 and 8:15 we get 40,000 listeners between that period of time, which is half of Wembley Stadium. And lots of the content we do is about our own lives and stuff that we do. And if I'm really honest, having been to Wembley Stadium and seen half of it full, I would not get up and talk about my husband's grey underpants and how boring it is. But you know you're talking to these people and you like it, but if you actually could see it, I think you'd be quite scared about it. We've got 30% reach. I don't know if you guys know about Radar. Radar is it's a really archaic way of testing out how people are listening and what they're listening to. Basically, it's diaries that go out in the region, and so you might have a diary, so what do you listen to? So this is why at the end of pretty much every link, you're listening to Heart FM with Electronic Paulina. So, okay, that was fine, I quite like that. You might remember to tick your diary. So we're not really convinced that it's a great way of doing it. However, if your radar's up, we love it. But if it's down, it's a glitch. Exactly.
Nobody keeps going.
Yeah,
it's unreliable.
Exactly. And there's also a lot of competition now, not just the other radio stations. Obviously, we've got Kiss, we've got Breeze, we've got the BBC. At the moment, and it has been for a while, our radio station, and I'm not trying to be big-headed about this, I'm just telling you where we're standing as a commercial station. We have been above Radio 1 for a good couple of years locally, which is a good coup for us. It's hard work, but that's because we're slightly older and Radio 1 are now slightly younger. We've never quite beaten Radio 2. We've been level with it. At the moment, we've beaten them in over 55s, which is a bit strange. It seems to be tending maybe to the bit older, maybe coming back into the radio station. So there is a fair amount of competition out there. Target audience 25, 44 female. So I'm a little bit older than that, but what we say is, and obviously we have adverts on our station, and most people, I love the station, I hate the adverts. We hate the adverts too, but that we don't get money as the BBC gets your yearly subscription. What is it called?
License fee. Yeah.
We don't do that. We have to do it for ourselves. So our content is very important. Because the minute pretty much you hear the ad, you're going to go, I'm out of here, and people can do that quite readily. So that's what pays our wages, and we try and make the adverts. I mean, we end up singing the adverts, and this is ridiculous. But so that's what pays our wages. And what a lot of people say is that women are not the strongest sex, it's something to say, but when you get in the car, if you're listening with your kids every morning and they say, Currys have got a deal on at the moment, 50% off washing machine, so your husband comes home and he says, we need a washing machine, whatever. The wife goes, I was listening on Heart, and she's basically the person that's heard it that tells the story. So they seem to think that women in the house have got a stronger influence on what they buy and what goes in the house. And I don't know if that sounds sexist, but I think a lot of times it probably is like that. So that's global. Just quickly, I don't know if you're interested, but I got into radio, a little bit like Kirsten. It's a really hard thing to do. Basically, I got absolutely drunk at a ball, and they had the auctions at the end, and I bid on sitting in the morning show. Previously, I'd been living in Texas for 10 years, didn't know anything about radio at all. Just that sounds like a bit of fun. So at the time, the Heart Angels that we have now were called Black Thunders. And they picked me up in the morning, I paid them £100 or something, and I took my sister, we went in and sat in the morning show, and a little bit like Kirsten looking at it, I just thought, oh my God, this is what I want to do. All my life, this is what I should have been doing. But again, it's quite hard to get into. So by the time I came back, I already had a job. I butted up the girl one day a week, 6 o'clock in the morning, to do some little links from the truck saying, hi Paulina, where are you? I'm outside Giles Sports on the top of that, and if you find me now, you can get tickets to... So, it's a long slog, so I did all that. Then I started working for a place called Traffic sort of that reading traffic between the southwest and Bristol. Well, actually, we went up to about Birmingham. And the way that I did that, I just tracked down again, knocking on doors, what can I do? And they said, well, yeah, you come in and shadow. The day I went into shadow, somebody was sick, and they said, do you think you could do it? And a little bit like us, no idea. But I'm like, yeah, absolutely not a problem. Literally went to the loo and was sick. And, I managed to do 80 feeds that day, with different radio stations. All you had to really do is they go, no, just the travel, looking at the script, the unfolders, And then I started to put a little bit of personality when I got the job on a Saturday for a couple of years. So when the presenter would come to you, they'd say, oh, so what's Paulina doing today? You'd try and make up something, that usually was happening. Something that was a bit unusual, something a bit funny. Then it got to Paulina moments, and then eventually the breakfast presenter was leaving, the very, very early breakfast when BBC Gloucester was leaving. She said, oh, you should apply. Didn't know how to run a desk, didn't know how to do anything. Went there, had a disastrous interview because I didn't know the area. You don't know these things, you just think, oh, I want to get into radio, it's exciting. But again, like Kirsten, a really nice guy was interviewing me, and he said, look, I can see this potential there. Just come work here for me. If I'm honest, everybody in BBC Gloucester was horrible to me. It was this kind of like, well, do you want to get into radio? You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I'm not saying you get that all the time, but it does happen a lot. And you do feel, I was talking to Miranda earlier, you've just got to believe in yourself and be confident and know you can do it. So from there, I went to BBC Wiltshire. I then got the breakfast show. Then I did weekend shows, Think Pink as Paulina. I even did a gardening show. I know nothing about gardening. But I went along the lines of, I don't know anything about gardening, let's start from scratch. And I had experts in weekly. And occasionally the person answering the phone would say, the experts aren't in, do not ask her any advice, just give her tips. But the fact is, as long as you can make something, you know what you want and you know your passion. Interesting, I love gardening now. But you've got to believe in yourself. So that's how I got into radio. I worked then for the BBC, at BBC Wiltshire, and then I'd already met Troy and Ed, or Bush at the time, through working with them at Traffic Link, and they were just my mates, and they'd been given the breakfast show in Bristol, and they rang me up, and I thought, I've just got a show on the BBC, I am not leaving that to go back to commercial where, I thought the BBC was it at the time. And they said, well, look, come and just do a couple of hours, so I was doing that and the BBC one, I can do it, because it's separate areas. Within commercial radio, the contract states that I can't work within 200 miles of my radio station, and the contract you sign, you can leave, you can't work for 2 years within radio in your area, but if they fire you, they have to pay you for 2 years. So just say suck on it, get paid for 2 years. So that hasn't happened as yet, but it may. So that's that. So
surely if you did, they would actually, they wouldn't have. Have you? Oh my God, that's incredible.
It was a pre-record.
Oh,
I used
okay.
to do the Bath and the Bristol show and run between studios. And we were pre-recording on the Bath show, and I was going, oh my God, it's a really freezing cold morning, hope you get, whatever. And then I said on the pre-record, oh fuck, it's the morning, isn't it? Well, I said afternoon, because we were pre-recording in the afternoon.
Yeah.
He said, oh, don't worry, I'll edit it. He didn't edit it.
Oh no!
That's not your fault, that's his
No,
fault.
well, no, but I said it, and then he played it out again. I was like, what is this? Tell me fun. Anyway, luckily it was at 10 to 9, all the kids were in school, we got one complaint.
Oh, that's
and
so
it was
lucky.
pre-record, and again, it was not quite my mistake.
No,
when
it's
I
not.
said it. Anyway, the bottom line is when you're near a live mic, whether it's turned on or off, do not swear.
The goody gumdrop
Yeah.
rules.
Yes.
Yeah, the smart video rules.
I know, but it's
Yeah.
really interesting. I work with two boys who are a bit crazy. I don't know if you've ever heard the show, but
Yeah.
the stuff that goes on off air
Yeah.
should actually be on air because it's way more interesting.
Well, that's what we were saying last week during my show, and there's a guy filming it, and he's saying, really, we want to be doing the bits when you're off mic, going,
Exactly,
bits,
but-
blah, 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 and all of that, Yeah.
So a little bit about how we plan our show. I don't know if you're interested in this, but so we have a meeting every single day after the show. I can hand those around in a minute, but basically this is our 6 a.m. hour. So we talked about this is a while back. We would have talked about this the day before. So Ed wants to talk about highlights. So maybe it's about girls having their hair highlighted. He doesn't understand it. So we would have had a very small discussion the day before. He said, I actually can't remember what this topic was, but it's probably something along the lines of, why do women get their hair highlighted or whatever? And I go, well, I can tell you, but I'm not going to tell you now. I'll tell you on the show tomorrow. And Paris might say, oh, I've got something on that. My girl gets her hair done. Or, so we all know that we've got something on it, but none of us really know what it is. But what we do know is we're talking about highlights. And that actually might be football highlights for all I know. So you don't take someone off the point. For example, if I'm going to do a link about, when you were 8, you had your 8-year-old birthday party, when you were a kid and your mum used to have the cake and everything, and I'm trying to invoke a feeling in anybody. But maybe I was a whiskey, I'm not talking about little bottle joys, I'm talking about the feeling you got when you were a kid. So a lot of presenters, you have to have a lot of trust. If he does that to me, I'm going to think, oh, now I can want little bottle joys. What am I doing here? So I either have to bring him back, or he has to know that's not the story. He might be able to say, oh yeah, I love little bottle joys, but then he'll stop because he knows my link is further on. So this comes down. So these are the different things. And then, so for example, your ad break, boring ad break, onto the news, and then what we call a top of the hour. Hi guys, welcome to Hot Breakfast. And then it goes down the list. Sometimes it's so busy when you mics are live and all works independently. It's like you know what you're going to say. Sometimes, well, I don't think we should do that anymore. It gets down to like 40 seconds, and I go, guys, we're going to need to decide. Then somebody goes, 20 seconds! And I go, don't shout at me! And then it comes on. And it literally is like that. So you also can't be at all offended by stuff. Your bottom line is you need to know that you've got the passion and you want to get whatever it is out there. So that's basically how. So when the mic.
So you come up with all the ideas?
Yeah, they're all ideas. As a team, but also independently. So say, for example, if it's a bit manic, something's gone and we've changed something, I can look down when the mic's up, I can look down on that and go, okay, I know that I like that. So I can't speak to you because the mic's alive. That's brilliant. We've all talked about that, so we know. And then what we try and do is, with the idea is, you obviously know you everyone goes into stuff, records things all the time, but, I used to write things in books, so little things like I might sound a bit stupid, but a thing called a sense of day. So I might say, like I might get out in the morning and think, oh, bloody feels like it's raining. I'll put my jeans on. By the time it gets wet, oh my God, I'm really hot. So I might say, I might go, I've got the sense of day before you do a big link. And so I'll say, or he'll say, half breakfast, and I'll say something like, just let you know, ladies, don't wear any tights today. It's layers all the way and get your legs out. Or make sure you've had a wax because today's the day to get your legs out. So that's my sense of day. The weather's this. And it might give you a little bit of information, maybe make you laugh. You might think, well, I'm having a legs shaved, you know, just that kind of connection to where we're going. Another thing we like to do, or we get taught on Heart anyway, in the commercial station, is we always get a snapshot of time. We've got like minutes to make you think, oh, I'm interested in that, because you might be interested. If we waffle, you've then got to go and get the toast ready for your kids, or get your gym kit ready for whatever. So what we like to do is a thing called authentic personality, authentic radio personality. I think I could talk anything on radio.
It is late.
And what that really means is be true to yourself, be your own person. So, okay, my target audience is 25-44. I'm not in that category, but I am a woman, and I do have periods, and I do worry about getting lumps in my bra, and I do worry about my relationship with my husband, and I do wonder about my kids at university. So all those feelings that I have, like what people say is, you might be slightly out of that target audience, and even then, you still have the emotions that everybody has. Everyone loves, everyone hates, everyone feels emotional, everybody feels doubt, everybody feels unconfident at times. So that's what we're trying to invoke in people. So when you listen to one of our little pieces, my producer will say afterwards, what did you want the person to get out of that? What did you want them to feel? Did you want them to laugh? Did you want them to understand? Did you want them to marvel? And did you want them to learn something? So I want you, when you listen to a little bit I do on the radio, I want you to go away feeling happy, having a bit of a chuckle, maybe feeling sad, maybe just totally relating. So to give you an emotion. And that's the kind of thing, like if you're talking to your girlfriends and having coffee, you don't talk about stuff that you're not really interested in. You might go, oh, you're never going to guess what, and then you maybe have a bit of gossip about something. So it's trying to be this authentic person. It's just don't lie. So say, for example, there was like the Manchester one thing. I mean, I've never really looked into Miley Cyrus before or whatever she was doing, and she really affected me. So, rather than say, wasn't Miley Cyrus great yesterday? I might go, do you know what, I used to think Miley Cyrus was an absolute, spoiled little brat with it. But now, so it's just being honest and doing it in the way that you would say it to your mates, really. So that's about people having emotions and making people feel something. You have a thing also we call a trigger lead-in. So say, for example, if I want to tell you a story, I mean, obviously you wouldn't do this in your everyday life, but I might say, say, for example, I had a row with my husband last night about something that most of us row about. So at the beginning I might say, find out next how I nearly got divorced, or how it's easy for you to nearly get divorced every day, or something that would make you, what's that about, or something slightly random. Then when you come to tell the story, you have to think of dazzling detail. So you might do a description of somebody, or you try to describe something, just make it a bit more dazzling with the the way that you describe it. Maybe a little bit more theatrical than you might have ordinarily done. And we also have a thing called a power out. And a power out is, for example, if there's obviously three of us talking. I actually stopped actually. I think this is quite a bit interesting. So we have a thing called a power out. So say, for example, the three of us are having a conversation and it's your sort of topic and we've said something funny and then you say something really funny and I think, I've got something really funnier than that. But yours was funny enough, that's your power out. Or I might get the end of my thing. So the bottom line is, it really devastated me. And I just feel really low this morning. That's a power out. That's your end point, your end sort of thing. So if I said that and it was an emotional feeling, then we're going into a sad song and someone goes, oh, don't worry about it, cheer up. Then that takes away from the... So everybody has to know what you're going to end with when you start. So if you're going to start a conversation, you kind of need to know where it's going to end. So I might say to the boys, like for example, I've recently been diagnosed with discoid lupus, which means I'm losing my hair in patches. But I wanted to talk about the fact that people keep giving me stupid, annoying health tips. So that's my point. You know when you've got something like, oh, rub a bit of gold on that, and you think... but so I said to the boys before, I don't want to go down the discoid lupus thing, I don't want them to feel sorry for me. My point is, don't people say stupid things when they know you're ill. And so that's the point. So everybody has to have that clear point. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So as I was saying before, I've talked about prepping. Another thing that we do is a thing called mad manning. Has anyone heard of that? Where we had this guy from America come over, and if you're trying to think about ideas and various things, he makes you write non-stop for 2 minutes. Just write.
Can I just say, none of the expressions that you have I'm familiar with in the BBC at all.
No, this is all very commercial orientated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are specific.
So we have this thing called mad manning, and where they go, right, sit over there and write for 2 minutes. And what are you worried about? Just whatever. So you can't take the pen off the paper and you just write and you go, well, I want this picture to find there, a little popcorn, isn't it? What do you need popcorn to? And then you do this whole thing, you've got all these bits of paper and then you look down there. But within there somewhere, there'll be something you go, God, I didn't realise they thought that, or I didn't realise it. So there's certain things that, if you go, like for example, we had this meeting yesterday and they did this thing called Go Beyond the Raisin. It's like the weirdest thing. So they gave us all a raisin. Feel the raisin, and you're like, okay, I'm really knackered now. Feel the raisin, and we felt the raisin. Right now, describe it. So you have to write down a description. Now taste it, describe the taste. And so many funny things came out of it. Like someone said, it's like an old woman's nipple. It felt like this, it tastes like... But if you look at a raisin ordinarily, you might think, it's a raisin. But if you really look into it and you really taste it and you really think about, what do I think about that raisin? Maybe when you were a kid, your mum used to make you eat raisins and you hate them, or you used to stuff them in your ears or something when you were a kid. I don't know. There's lots of different emotions in there and lots of different feelings. And so what our managers really say, our producers say, is think about your reactions to stuff. Like you might read something in an article and you might think, well, that's quite pleasant, but if it's something you want to talk about on radio, if it gets your attention, really think about what you think, because sort of I think the difference with commercial is you can have an opinion. I mean, basically, one of the reasons I like my job is, within reason, other than fuck, I can say pretty much whatever I like. So today on the show I said that I think that George Ezra is way better than Ed Sheeran. But yeah, I mean... Controversial. Yeah, okay, it's not a big deal, but I mean, you might think, oh, don't you want to say that, oh, I might be offending Ed Sheeran, he's the guy at the moment, but I generally do. Or someone else described Ed Sheeran as a squashed fox the other day, you know. So anyway, so the point is, with the commercial radio, I think you've got quite a lot more freedom to have your opinions, and what you try and want people to do is to relate to you, and not think, oh, I mean, obviously a lot of people do think, oh, what are we going on about it, but a lot of people don't. And I had this lady once that emailed me, tell me to stop if you need to, and she wrote to me about, could I say hello to her children on the show? Oh, yeah, why don't you do that? It's an email back. I'll ring you up, you can do your own little, be really cute, you get the kids on. And she didn't ever pick up the phone, and about a month later I got this really long email from this lady, and her kids were autistic, that's why she couldn't pick up the phone, it would disrupt their morning, and she went on to tell me about her life, and you know, a lot of people do this to you, but I thought, well, maybe I'll sit back and read this. And basically she had autistic kids, her husband had left her, she lived in a council flat, so she's a single parent, didn't have any money, was saving up to get a turkey for Christmas. I mean, really rubbish stuff in her life. Now, I'm not saying I've got the perfect life, but like a lot of us, we do have fairly charmed lives, even in as much as we're healthy. And it made me think, my life is nothing like her life. And she was thanking me for cheering her up for the last whatever years. But my life really is like her life, as I said to you earlier, because I am a woman, and I do have doubts in myself, and I do feel sometimes like I'm fat, or I do feel sometimes like my husband doesn't love me, or I do feel that I'm not good enough on radio, or, you know, or I've got a migraine or a period pain or whatever. Or stupid things like you might have pictures of your kids around, and you might think, oh, I've had that picture's been in there since she was 2, should I change it for a graduation picture, or do I save that and put, I mean, stupid things that we all think, and that made me think, do you know, and that's basically for me what it's about, it's being relatable, you know, so, yeah, hopefully she doesn't ever listen to me. Of course the boys are going to get it, but they're not. No one's going to phone a bloke and go, oh, you're never going to guess what, my husband said this last night and I'm devastated, I think he's going to leave me, what do you reckon? Or whatever it might be, because they think that the guys on the show are going to be down on it. And actually they've got really good points, but the fact that I'm a woman, people feel, and it's the same with all of it really, whatever industry you're in, and this is what I do, locally, just celebrate being a woman, and celebrate having all that empathy and all the stuff that we have. Like
And the bosses and people who work at Heart, they are very vocal about Paulina is the main voice of the show, and it's the reason why it's so successful.
Well, it's also because it's Heart's basically a woman-based station, even though we do have a lot of guys. But so that's basically how we prep. That's how we, you know, we do things. We just try and be sort of natural and open. Sometimes I say things, I just say, oh my God, you just said that. But then we all say things at times, and so I think it's just being natural, but a little bit again like Kirsten, you have to have the passion, you have to have the enthusiasm. I mean, genuinely, I've had the show for 16 years, and this really sounds cliche, but every single morning I genuinely feel honoured and lucky to wake up in the West Country, and I'm excited to tell you what funny things happened to me the night before, all sorts of things. And I want to hear from you guys. I want the coffee morning, I want the conversation. And I think if you have that kind of feeling and a passion of knowing what you can do and what you want, it's absolutely possible. And that's kind of what I'm saying, just find out what these two little things. This is another thing we get in the morning. So before we get into work, it's obviously bloody early, and we all look like hell. But sometimes I'm running.
Radio, it's fine.
I know. Sometimes I'm running really. I've literally gone into my PJs before, and the guys go, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "I don't fancy you. No, I can see you. Oh, good." So my producer will have already done this. So this is actually January 17th. So basically, this is the competition we've had. And these are lots of things, and there's lots of road changes in Bristol today for the Metro Road. So just little points. So stuff I don't have to think about, because I'm thinking about how I'm going to connect to you, what my power out is, how I'm going to try and do my dazzling details, how I'm going to maybe make you learn something or feel connected to me. So I haven't really got time to. So for example, the series of Crystal Maze will be filmed today in Bristol. So I might have a 20-second link, and I'm like, oh, I'll just talk about that today. So it sounds like we've got all this kind of knowledge, which you know we do. We don't necessarily research all those things ourselves. So that's the other thing that he does. So he hands us this every morning. So that's basically what we do in a nutshell. I don't know if that sounds.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so different to the BBC, how that works. And it is interesting how, when we were speaking beforehand, you were saying in some respects you missed the fact that you can have an in-depth interview with somebody, whereas, you know, I'm very fortunate that I can have long links and talk and get to know characters.
Yeah,
but
we're restrained by times.
Exactly.
Which is why we have to get our point across, and we have to try and be.
Which is why it's so interesting to hear what you do actually have to do in such a short time.
Because I do miss at the B when I would have a show and I would take the whole interview where I wanted to go with it. But obviously I've got 3 other people, so we have to put our hands up. There's a lot of sign language that goes on. So Paris might be talking and I'll go, I want to speak, and then Ed will put his hand up at the same time. So he'll say, okay, you can to the point that I can do it, and I might go, mine's a small bit. And so then he'll go, got a big bit, so it's all. Sometimes it's just like that. You know, it's like carries on the stuff that goes on, and they're really, really weird. But on the whole, there's a lot of sign language going on. Just very quickly, how do you get to radio? A little bit like Kirsten. Funnily enough, I was thinking that it felt like it was closing down really, but if you really think about it, it isn't. And I talked to Paul today, my managing editor, and they're crying out for people, but it's difficult. So all I would say is do demos. keep doing them, record stuff in your own, record the little funny piece that you think might be quite interesting. As he was saying earlier, you can post things on YouTube, you can go on social media. There's so many different things now that are available for you to sort of get your teeth into. For me, I always think, have an idea for a show. Have an idea. That would be really interesting. I'd like to hear that. So have an idea. Same really what Kirsten was saying. Because I remember I tried to get into telly once and I went to this interview and I didn't really have an idea, and I basically said, well, I'd like to do something sort of just really fun on telly or a bit, and at the end of the interview he said, let me get this right, Paulina, you just want me to hire you to muck about on telly. And I was like, yeah, pretty much, but what I meant was I wanted a light breezy show, but really what I should have done, this is years ago, is thought, right, what would be a funny show, and let me go and pitch that. So you have to have your ideas of how you want to relate it. This also maybe be a bit of a character or have yourself a brand. So in a way, it can still be you, but I guess my brand is I'm a slightly ditzy mum. It is a brand, but it is actually me. So the stuff that goes wrong on my show or what happens is how it is. And every now and then I think, oh, I can't believe I said that wrong, but I'll meet someone on stage who's going, we're twins at birth, I do stuff like that. You know, and you think, well, actually, you do like to have things that go wrong, don't you? So, and it is a natural thing. So if we're having a conversation now, like we are, and I got a word wrong, I wouldn't go, oh, and then not say anything. I go, oh my God, sorry, what is that word? What is that word? And then hopefully a producer or someone will tell you what it is. And I think that it's just being natural, and it's just having passion, and it's just also having bags of energy and wanting to do it. And if you believe in yourself, trust me, it's possible, because I did not go to university. I was not a radio presenter. It all happened by accident, and I think sometimes that's sort of the better way, because you don't have a filter. So, okay, you might be a journalist, but you think in journalistic terms. But if you want to just be a free presenter, then it's probably better that you just have your own crazy ideas and you're your own person. You don't pretend to be somebody else.
No, that's amazing, thank you. Is there something in an area of presenting that you would like to do, or do you feel like this is it for you? And
I did recently, as I was saying earlier, I did recently think I'd quite like to get back to the BBC to sort of have a bit more of a Paulina Meets, or where you can take something in that direction. But then I came back for an interview and I just thought, at the moment, I just like where I'm at, because it's funny. You know, I actually go...
It's so uplifting. I listen a lot on Morning to Heart.
Oh, thank you.
And it's just ridiculous, but there are moments of seriousness, which is great, because then you get the bits of news and you get the bits of local information, which is really helpful.
Yeah, we were talking...
Local travel. My partner drives for a living, so he listens to you just because he goes, well, I think he likes you, but he also likes hearing the travel news. It's really crucial.
And we like to think that... I personally like to think that people, I must let Paulina know about that. Not because it's me, Paulina, but because I'm the person that's telling them what's going on. And so, say, for example, other little things, if you're reading a traffic report, and rather than saying, there's a 50-minute delay at the traffic lights, whatever, it's really cool if you can go, the reason it's delayed is because the man didn't turn it on this morning, but he's on his way, we've spoken to the council. So if you're sitting in a jam, you're more likely to go, oh, that's all right then.
Yeah, and if it's the road by the fish and chip shop as well, because I know that Julian in the afternoon, he really makes a point of making it accessible, the traffic news. You know, that's all it is, but he makes it, because he knows the roads inside out. So you know he knows Bristol, and it just, it's a bit relatable.
Once you get on